Hello my cupcakes and welcome back to my channel. So I sort of DIY'd this costume myself from the thrift store so you don't have to spend a fortune on costumes. I'm also going to start by tying my hair back and stretching a little, but not too much because yeah, that hurt. Anyway, we're first going to start by pouring some liquid latex in a bowl or cup or whatever that works for you. Then I'm using some cotton balls because I couldn't find cotton rolls. So what I did was just kind of ripped out the shape and spread it out more so that it's not so bulky. And I thought I had made more or made enough, but as you can see, you want to make sure you have a bunch so that you can recreate the huge head, which you'll see in the reference photo. The head is pretty freaking large, so just make sure you make enough to stuff later. After that, I'm just going to put on my bald cap and place it exactly where I want it. Don't cut the ears yet because we need to stuff it in first so that the ears match afterwards. Now, when you're stuffing the bald cap with cotton, it works better if you work in sections so that you can fill in the gaps to make out the shape. I honestly didn't want it perfectly smooth since we're gonna have to create the cracks later, so the cotton balls actually worked out pretty great. Oh, and I wanted you guys to be able to create this look at home, so all of the special effects products I'm using today can be purchased at your local Halloween or party store. Once you're pretty satisfied with the shape, we're going to glue it down with spirit gum, and this is where you can cut out the shape of your ear, but don't cut it too short or else it's gonna start lifting. Next, we're going to use good old Elmer's glue to flatten down our eyebrows by applying it towards the growth direction. While that's drying, I'm also going to use some tissue paper to apply liquid latex on the head for the cracks. Make sure you rip it up in small pieces without any straight edges so that it looks like a more natural crack. I'm also going to apply some spirit gum on my eyebrows to protect them from the latex, but only do this if you have spirit gum remover because you don't want to rip out your eyebrows, okay? You don't want your eyebrows going missing. After that, you can proceed with the latex application all over the forehead up to about where you'll be wearing the wig. Now you can try and hand dry it like me, but that'll take you 5 years, so go ahead and use a blow dryer and make sure it's completely dry. Next, I'm using white hair color spray to the head area, but honestly, you don't really need to do this part since I'm going to go over it with white paint anyways. And I tried using this cream paint from Ben Nye to give it that textured look, but honestly, I just ended up using water-based paint to make it more opaque. You don't have to paint it all over just yet, but make sure you apply the head area completely, including your ears. Can't forget the ears. Once the paint is pretty much dry, it's time for the wig to go on. I just cut up this old wig I had in half and tried gluing it with spirit gum, then styling it, but that didn't work out so well, so I actually had Phil help me hot glue it down because that was pretty much the only way to have your glue stick onto the bald cap. And as you can see, he was cracking up the whole time looking at me, so this took longer than it should have. Once the wig was securely on, I proceeded to style it by cutting the longer ends off, teasing, then brushing it to style it to the reference photo. I also made the widow's peak part with the other half of the wig I cut, so I glued that on as well. I also decided to spray some red hair color spray, but I sprayed it partially because I didn't want it too red either. After that, we're going to finish painting our face white except for the nose area, all the way down to the neck. Then I'm going to lightly set it with a white or translucent powder and move on to the eyes. For the eyes, there really is nothing special. I'm just using black eyeshadow, but you can use black paint if you want. And I'm applying that up to the crease area in a very messy manner. Then I'm using a blending brush, not to blend, but to spread it outwards. After that, I'm going back to the fluffy brush and I'm using a light brown eyeshadow to accentuate the cracks. Then I mixed black and white paint and made a light gray to draw the eyebrows using a very thin brush. It's okay if it's not perfect right now because I'm going over it with a white paint after to clean up the lines. Now it's time to shade in the structures. I'm using the same paint I used for the eyebrows to draw in some deep wrinkles, then patting it down with my fingers to blend it in. I'm also drawing some angry eyebrows to both sides and blending that down with my fingers as well. Then using the same blending brush and the same eyeshadow, I'm going to contour the inner socket of my eyes to the bridge of my nose and slightly connecting them together to really give it that crunched up expression. After that, I'm going to shade in my smile line as well as my chin to make them look longer when I smile. I'm also brushing in some shadow on the temples to make the head look wider at the top and shading the remaining shadow on the forehead. For the nose, I'm just using the red paint with a little bit of black and painting it slightly larger than my nose to make it look wider. To clean it up, I'm going back with the white paint and sharpening the edges, then using my fingers to blend out the white. For my lips, I'm using just the red paint first to color it in and filling in the bottom lip more narrower but longer and overlined at the bottom. Then I'm using black paint to shade the outer rim and extending it outwards. Then I'm going to draw a red line flowing down from your eyes to your lips on both sides. Don't worry about perfecting the thickness yet because that's how things can get out of control. You can start by drawing out a soft line on both sides, then filling it in to make it thicker once you're satisfied. Repeat the same steps for the top as well, but be more careful so that it'll align with the bottom line and flow down perfectly. Once you're done with that, we're going to go back to the black paint and shade in the outer edges of the lips and blend them together. I found these vampire teeth at the store, which you can just throw into a cup of hot water and wait about a minute for the mold to get clear. Be careful when touching them because they're going to be pretty freaking hot, so scoop them out with a spoon. Once they're ready, you're just going to firmly press it down to your teeth and it'll just stick right on. They also come off pretty easily, so you don't have to worry about these being stuck there. This part is optional, but I decided to make the teeth look a little bit more aged since these look a little bit too pearly white. I'm using a Tooth FX paint in Nicotine by Mayron, and these are perfectly safe for your teeth. To really add the creepiness to the look, we can't forget the contacts. I popped these yellow contacts on, and honestly, I got a little creeped out at myself afterwards. To add the final touch, just put on some white gloves and you're pretty much all done. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really had a lot of fun creating this look. Don't forget to follow me on all of my other social media handles, and I'll see you guys next week for my next Halloween tutorial. Love you guys. Bye!